Prepare yourself for invasion. This is Indie Invasion.
What's up, invaders? Thursday night.
Shorts on Thursday night. And it's to get that time of year where you can wear shorts.
Yeah, I got shorts on now, even though I got a hoodie on.
Yeah, well, that's because you live up there. I've been wearing shorts since, January.
You never know. You never know with Chicago weather, man. You know, we were waiting to come on here. I was kind of trying to get fired up and stuff. And I was doing that while I had my drink in my hand. I was like, whoa.
Oh, did you splash water all over your computer?
Just a little bit.
Excellent. So, yeah, man, it has been, well, you said it was a crazy week for you. It's been a crazy week for me, too. I had to drive up to Westminster on Tuesday, which is about 5.5 hours from me, and then turn around and come back 5.5 hours Wednesday. So, yeah, lots of fun. What's up, Tonio? Welcome, sir. But I will say this. I could complain about it, but it's a beauty. I mean, you can take the interstate part of the way, but because of where it's located, it's very west of the interstate. So there's a lot of really cool country roads, back roads up through the foothills in the Piedmont area of the state. So, I mean, it's a beautiful.
When you go on those long trips, do you do like my stepfather does, the old man drive, where you take all the back roads and the scenic roads?
I totally do. I stay off the interstate, man. I'm like, this only adds 30 minutes to my ride. It's cool. And I went in my Jeep this time instead of, usually the family goes up there, so we take my wife's Jeep because I'm the only one that likes to get my hair messed up in the Jeep with no doors on it. Nobody else wants to get their hair messed up.
Man.
So I went by myself. So I took my Jeep, no doors, 5.5 hours.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you're gonna get tagged in the head by a June bug or something.
No, I still got a front windshield. I'm good. Don't think I haven't looked at how to take that windshield off too. Okay. I know how that sucker comes off on my Jeep. I'm just saying.
Well, I remember it used to be pretty easy in the old ones. It's still fairly easy in the new ones. There's just a little bit more you have to take.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's I know where the bolts are, but I don't know that the whole thing actually comes off.
Yeah, you may get it apart, but not go back together.
Yeah. So I need to just find me an old Willys Jeep where the whole front window just folds down.
Yeah, just that old school hinge.
Yep, that's right. So anyway, what you been working on besides comic books? I know you've been working on comic books.
Just doing a little bit of reading. I started reading through some of that Judge Dredd rule book, which is kind of interesting. You know, I don't think they've changed those rules in like, when did that come out? Like 20 years?
That particular rule set, I don't think that rule set's that old.
Was it maybe 10?
Maybe. I mean, that's the same rule set for Strontium Dog.
Yeah.
And that one's got the bag mechanic, sort of like Twilight, where you pull activation tokens.
And it can just end.
Yeah. So I don't know if that one just ends or not, but what's up, Anthony? Happy Thursday to you as well. I almost said happy Tuesday. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, and Alan stopped by on Facebook.
Oh, yep, there he is. What's happening, Alan? So I'm still working on Battle Mechs, but over here somewhere, you can't see it. It's right there where my finger disappears, right there.
I'll grab my just turn
right. Let me turn the camera. Is Jeremiah and I, my 14-year-old, were playing some Alpha Strike, and he was like, "Man, I really like this game." Which, sometimes it's hit and miss with the kids whether or not they like some of the games. And he's been playing a lot of chess recently. So I'm printing him a 3D Battletech chessboard.
That's cool.
So I've got stuff. As a matter of fact, my wash just turned off, just beeped because I finished washing one batch that came out. That's what do I have? A couple of knights and the stuff that I'm using for bishops. So I had an old chessboard, big, nice chessboard that didn't have the kids had lost the pieces. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. So probably actually tomorrow I'll probably be able to post a picture of it with all the pieces. I haven't painted. Well, they won't be painted yet, but I'm just going to do solid colors for a couple of the houses that I chose for it and picked specific mechs for it. So it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, he's right at that age that if I remember right, Nando was a little younger, but where they got into more of that strategy and thinking of, how if I go this way, that planning stage, not just reaction, but actually planning and setting stuff up. So that's kind of cool.
So was that your gentle way of saying Fernando beat all of us at Adepticon in Wild West Exodus? Was that the gentle way of saying that? Okay, I'm okay with that.
He creamed our butts there.
Everybody.
What's up, Terrence?
It wasn't just us. I mean, actually, I don't think I played him. He just had more points than me. But
you guys played a lot outside of actual organized stuff. I mean, Nando was like, "You want to play? You want to play? You want to play?" He was asking everybody.
Yeah. So, but on not what we're talking about tonight, but figured we should announce it. Do you have your bell there? Is your bell ready?
I got my bell.
Okay, bell's ready.
Little news.
So, and I posted and you posted also on the Indie Invasion podcast page, and I posted in the Twisted group, and I don't know if I did in the Discord or not, but that the sale is finally gone through for Twisted. So it's now owned by Derek Osborne, who's the guy that owns the game Recon. And which is, for those of us in the States, that's great. The handful of players that were in Australia obviously are like, oh, this was one of the few games we had that was here.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I know shipping has always been crazy back and forth from Australia. So I don't know if it gets cheaper for the guys in the UK. Getting it from here instead of Australia.
I can't remember.
So if anybody listens, it's from the UK and has ordered from Australia before, you have to give us sort of a frame of reference for that. I don't know. I don't ever recall paying a whole lot like when we get stuff through for Twilight or Burrows and Badgers. So from the mics.
Yeah.
That's how those forever be referred to as now, the mics. But I don't recall ever. I mean, it's a little expensive, but it's never bad. And the stuff from Oathsworn from Mike for Burrows and Badgers, it's kind of ridiculous how fast you get it.
Yeah, I was just to say it's really, really fast for what you pay for shipping. Whereas sometimes, like shipping here in the States, it's like it bounces around sometimes from distribution plant to this plant.
Yeah. Or it goes into that one FedEx facility in Georgia that I think that FedEx facility is like 3 counties, because your package will say left that place and then went back to that place and then left that place and went back to that place.
Yeah.
It's like just moving through the building. So, so there's Alder. Hello, sir. So Terrence, Australian mini games, killer koalas and kangaroos. No, there's actually several Australian
I want to see that
games, some pretty good ones too. So Primal is out there, Brutal.
Yeah, we featured that.
Yep, those are the same basic game system. That one, I think, and Pete from Demented Games also did the artwork for Mana Press Games. So Mana Press Games actually has several different games. There's a zombie game producer. I think he's out of New Zealand though.
Yeah, that one.
But still that same since we're talking shipping charges, that's
pretty much is the same.
Yeah, I would think it's probably close in cost. And then Antonio says Judgment was there from there too before the latest version. Not killer koalas, they are drop bears.
Yeah, I was gonna say koalas are pretty much high all the time from eating those leaves, so they ain't gonna hurt nobody.
But so there's actually quite a few games out of Australia that we've discovered a lot through connections with Pete and Sebastian at Demented Games, just kind of connecting through that. And oh yeah, that's funny, Alan. Alan says shipping for the BattleTech Kickstarter is out of control. I almost suggested that to Eric for a topic, talking about that specific thing. I've seen some of the guys talking about $300, $400, $500 for shipping on their Kickstarters.
Yeah.
And I am an outsider on that, so I don't get any of the emails that, because I wasn't a backer on it, so I don't know. So a lot of times that kind of stuff is just complaining from people.
Yeah, it is, but
sometimes it's legitimate too.
Yeah, same sense. It's one of the things that's kind of chased me away a bit too. Is if you don't know or have kind of a clue, it's kind of disheartening when the company that you already gave tons of money a year and a half, 2 years ago comes back and says we need more. It's.
So Alan says most is 50 to 200. Well, that's reduced because I know in some of the BattleTech groups I had seen people post screenshots of their initial shipping charge, which they fixed. There were some errors. And, we've said this before about Kickstarter companies. As long as the company's communicating, don't get too mad at them. Give them an opportunity to fix whatever it is. The thing is, like I said, I don't get the emails. I don't know if they fixed it. I just heard the complaining. Which is why we're not talking about it in depth, because I'm not an insider. I don't have, if I had backed the Kickstarter and got it, we'd be talking about it. If I had gotten a $350 shipping charge, we would definitely be talking about it. All 27 people that watch us would know how irritated I would be about that. But instead, tonight, we're going to talk about something that I was perusing some really old videos and came across a very similar topic to this. And here, this was an answer to something real quick before I digress into that. Alder says shipping from the US is really expensive. Get stuff from the UK, Europe, or Asia a lot cheaper than from the US. It's so weird. He also said that's why he hadn't got any Black Site Studios. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I've talked to them about that stuff too, and they just have a hard time cost effectively getting it somewhere in like a warehouse that they can do that. So
yeah.
But anyway.
So what we were going to talk about was, like I said, I was perusing the internet, saw a really old video, and I was like, that's a really good point. And I know we've talked about this in passing before, but it's painting for perfection or painting for playability. And I think that that's a good question for all of us. Now, again, we say this all the time. This is just our opinion, and everybody's going to fall somewhere a little differently on this spectrum, because you're going to have guys that already. Why not both? You have this from the master painter. Okay.
Yeah. And I think I put that in the show notes as a question. Can you do both?
Right. And of course you can. And like I said, we've talked about that before. One of the things for me, like these BattleTech minis, right? These ones, brother, I paint these suckers for playability. That is flat out it. But my Twisted minis, for instance, which is a small collection, I do all of the little stuff. I paint the eyeballs and I do the highlights on the hair. You know what I mean? I do the painting for, I don't want to use the term perfection in connection to my painting
on their britches.
right. So it does become that question of, why not both, really? But I wanted to talk about the differences between the two. So painting for perfection, and I'm going to put some of these to you in a question form, Eric, and you answer them. So so why paint for perfection? What would be, and I thought these questions were good for you, because for those of you who've been watching us for a long time, when we would do our paint on the desk nights, Eric would paint half of an arm on one model because he spent the first 30 minutes sanding one little tiny spot on it.
Man, you throw me under a bus.
But you do both. You just like Alder Antonio said, you actually do both of these now because you do still do that too.
Yeah.
But you've also adapted to the playability. So why paint for perfection?
Well, that could be a number of things. I mean, and that's, I think, like you mentioned, it's a personal preference, really. Maybe you are OCD like me, and it's got to be nice and clean and perfect. So when that paint's on it, you don't see that little discrepancy. It's going to bug you. Or maybe you're painting for perfection because you want to use it as a display, or maybe enter it in a contest, it could be just the way that you learn to paint is that way, where you do the layers and the highlighting and all that, those fine tuned type of color theory, shading and all that stuff. And that's kind of where I fall is with the training. That's just, I went to art school, so that's how I learned.
Exactly. And Alder makes a really good point. I'm going to get to yours too, Anthony. You made a good point too. Perfection being in the eye of the beholder to the best of your ability. How are you defining perfection? Is perfection on the table and not gray to you? Is perfection little tiny veins in the eyeball because that guy has a tankard of whiskey in his hand? I've seen the guys that can do that. Oh man, that's insane. So it's how you define that as well. And one of the things that on the perfection side of it, where Anthony says, is going for those skirmish games, like a game like Twisted that has small model count, or Twilight, or Burrows and Badgers, or any of those sorts of things that have that small model count, really allows you the opportunity to get to that higher standard to push yourself if you want.
It kind of makes you want to spend that extra time because you can get them to the table that little bit quicker to play. So you can spend more time.
Right. And so for me, painting for perfection, the times that I do it is when it's a model that I love.
Yeah.
It's a specific model that I love, even to the degree of using that same example of the skirmish games, allowing you the time to pour into a smaller number of models. Even within that grouping, you have that one model. And I do this with my Twisted models. There'll be one guy who is just my favorite model, and he's going to get the extra time.
The title hero.
Sometimes not even that. Sometimes just the coolest model. And I mean, let's be honest. They usually make the hero the coolest model, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You look at, GW is perfect for that. You look at squads and they have that one guy that stands out. So the rest of them get block and wash. Hell with
exactly. and lots of good points. We always have great, when we talk about this kind of stuff, everybody's always is on point. Yeah. Nice looking model versus my sanity and space on my desk.
Yeah.
Right. That's another thing too. And Antonio makes a good point too. That's the beauty of skirmish games. And I really think that that's a portion of why skirmish games have done as well as they have in the past 15, 20 years, is you've gone from having to paint 250 orcs.
Oh, I've been there.
I've been there too. And I had Warhammer Fantasy Battles, orcs, and undead.
Yeah.
At least the skeletons were easy. At least the 4,000 skeletons were easy to paint. Right.
Yeah, they were.
Right. So this is couple more good points. Motivation's a big part of it. Painting to paint or to get it to the game. And that, again, that if on the perfection side of it, that comes into what we were talking about with those smaller skirmish games, that you can accomplish both of those in the smaller skirmish game. But like Tonio said, those mass battle games, you can't. The reason I brought Todd's up, the more details the sculptor has in the model, the more detail the paint job needs. Yes. When GW puts 47 skulls on a 3.5-inch tall model, that's just too many details.
And don't forget about the 20 ribbons that they're wearing too.
Right. Right, exactly. And all of the dangly ribbons. Exactly. It's like that one scene, that Jim Carrey movie. I don't remember what the name of it was, where he has all the Post-it notes all over him in the whole place.
Yeah.
So that, but then there's the flip side of that, right? So you go from the painting for perfection, and for the really good painters, it's about winning Golden Demon Awards, and that's just that's a whole like I put that in a whole separate category. That's a completely different category, I think. But painting for playability, and we've already talked a little bit about this just by default in talking about painting, is skirmish games.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can get away with perfection and playability in skirmish games, but it's those big war games that I think is where you really kind of have to go for playability. I mean, harken back to your fantasy battle days. Because in your fantasy battle days, were you not still trying for perfection?
I was, and we had a lot of less tools in the painting, world.
Were you painting with the white tester's paintbrush?
Yeah, and I vividly remember taking weeks to put together and paint my Chaos Hell Cannon that I had. And that thing, oh my gosh, I left it purposely off the base because it was so massive and all the, like you said, skulls and everything, that I'm flipping it around, trying to get in all the crevices and stuff. And
your arm got tired because it was metal.
Because it was metal. It weighed like 5 pounds. Yeah, that was a big sucker. And yeah, I mean, that's all we knew back then. It took forever to be able to get to the table. And I think it changed eventually, because it's like, yeah, I want to get them to the table and play. So then there's that old saying of 3 colors, dip, and you're done. Right? It looks good from 3 feet away.
Good from 3 feet. That's right. If it looks good from 3 feet. But that really that's something that I think can really impede you and hurt your love of painting.
Yeah.
Because I want to go back to a comment Tonio made here in particular. He says, I enjoy the process.
And that's how painting. I started.
Right. And I think that sometimes the horde type armies, what happens there is it hurts your enjoyment of the process. It was one of the things that got me out of 40K. I just got tired of painting the same colors. I'm doing a Night Lords chapter, and I'm tired of Admiral Blue.
Well, I'm just sick of zombies. How much flesh, rotten flesh can I paint? Granted, I like painting zombies now.
Yeah, you do like painting zombies, and you have a lot of zombies to paint, I'd like to point out.
Yeah, I do. But you run out of ideas, so you need something fresh, and that's why a lot of us, I think, change games to give you something different to paint. Or we sacrifice that perfection to let's just get it on the table.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I think even just a single skirmish game offers you, because you don't even have to branch out into a second game. I'm going to use Twisted again as the example here. But let's say that you paint 2 different factions. You paint the Scions of the Sand, which have a very strong desert steampunk vibe, versus the Dickensians. Okay. And now you have this Victorian English, grungy, dirty style. And so you've already got 2 different styles that you can bounce back and forth between. And then you can take, just like you were saying, you can introduce a second skirmish game. And now you've got a whole different set of things. And if you come pick games that we've suggested, like Twilight or Burrows and Badgers or this Quar's War, where you're getting these totally unique kinds of models, and trust me, you won't get bored painting. But that is, I think, Todd, we need a shirt with this one too. I loathe painting models. I love having painted models.
And I know a lot of people that are like that. They love them painted, but man, it's a chore to put a lot of effort into them
Yeah.
just because that's not really their thing.
Yeah, and Terrence makes a good point too. And this is, I think, where this is what folks do in the big games like 40K or Age of Sigmar. You do the bang up job on the general.
Yeah.
But that still plays into the part where, you know, you're still having to paint. The general looks gnarly. You might have Gazkul Maguk Thraka for the orcs, right? But he came with 250 other orcs that are not him that you've still got to paint. And so that can make you loathe painting.
I'll make you loathe green, that's for sure.
It did. It did. And green's my favorite color too.
Man.
And my orcs, I almost hated green. But it does. It's but some people like batch painting like that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of mindless therapeutic
absolutely.
repetition, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's kind of what you relax to. A lot of people do it to relax. And it should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful.
No, it shouldn't be. It should be because it's a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so, oh no, Terrence, don't worry. I'm not hating on orcs. It was only the green. I love my orcs. I will always love my orcs. But good point, Alder. Speed paints, contrast paints.
We didn't have those back in the day.
No, we didn't. We did not. I mean, we didn't even know what we were doing. Like I said, that white Tester's paintbrush. I think most everybody in this group is old enough to know the white Tester's paintbrush with the black nylon bristles, right? Trying to paint an eyeball on an orc with that sucker.
God, he's looking this way and that way.
That's right. That's right. Well, okay, so Alan owns a store. He says that's why most GW armies are not painted. There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
There's too much
Yeah,
stuff.
unless you plan out like how you're going to paint them so it's quicker. That was, like we mentioned already, nice thing about skeletons. But you can be like me. You have vampire count skeletons, and then you go get Tomb King skeletons.
Right.
Little bit of difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I mean, it should be, I think it should be relaxing when we're painting, whether you're painting for perfection or whether you're painting for playability. It shouldn't be. Now, I'm going to say this. There'll be a caveat, obviously, because for some people it is their job. You know, they paint professionally. But for the vast majority of us, it's not our job. It's just what we do to relax. So mixed ink and future floor wax, and we liked it. Yes, we did. And didn't know how, and it tasted good. That's right. That's what's wrong with all of us. Okay. That is exactly what's wrong with all of us. But I think that it has to be relaxing. It shouldn't be stressful for us. It should be exciting when we open up another box and clip everything off and glue it together and spend 3 hours filing down a couple little bumps on them. Right, Eric?
Yeah, I've moved away from that a little bit because a lot of it's I don't have the time to spend on it like I used to.
Yeah, and that's all plays into that painting. But I think ultimately it comes down to whether you're painting for perfection or whether you're just painting for playability or whether you've got it sprinkled in between the two where you're perfecting your boss and your playability painting the rest of your guys, or you know, you're playing skirmish games so you can do the perfect painting. Whatever it is, you gotta be enjoying it. Because if you're not enjoying it, you really got to step back and ask yourself, why are you even doing it? Yeah. It's a hobby, right? It's a hobby. It's supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be something that takes your mind off of what you're doing and have fun. If anything good came out of COVID for us, it was that we had this weird Zoom meeting paint thing going on for several months where we had, gosh, I don't know. At one point, I think we had 10 or 11 people on painting at the same time. Just a bunch of us licking paintbrushes and drinking paint water accidentally. So I think if you take nothing else away from tonight, if you're not having fun, reevaluate what you're doing. Maybe switch up to paint something else, or find a buddy that likes to paint and you put his stuff together for him because he hates putting it together.
That's actually a good option there. And, you know, take a little break from the actual painting if it's causing that kind of stress.
Yeah.
Look at what is it about the hobby that you really enjoy, I think. Because, something little like that if you're not having fun, it's going to kill the hobby for you.
Yeah, because if you're stressing over 40K or Twisted or Twilight or Burrows and Badgers, if you're stressing over it, you might be doing it wrong. You might be doing. Now, you can get stressed if your models are lost in the mail somewhere. Okay, I'm with you on that one, because you're excited to get them painted and you're waiting and you're checking the mailbox every 5 minutes. You can stress over that, but it can't be a stressor. It's got to be a stress reliever. That's my 2 cents. You can take that and do with it what you will. You can't stress paint Burrows and Badgers. That is so true. You can't. You will paint those guys going, and he has a sword. He's so cute.
Yeah.
He's a little mouse.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I used to like almost to kind of keep you motivated as you come up with those little stories in your head about his backstory. Make a backstory for the character you're painting. Maybe it'll get you more attached to him.
Yeah, whatever you got, whatever you have to do so that you're enjoying the hobby. That's what's important. Okay, Alder might have you on this one because he has the clan models and has to paint the tartan. I do too. I have the hedgehog and I painted the tartan on him, but I found a really cheesy, simple way to do it that's kind of cheating, and it still looks okay. I mean, it doesn't look great, but it's perfection how I define it for my guy.
Yep.
So anyways, I think it's your turn to take us out, sir.
Is it?
I think it is, because I think I did it last time.
Okay. Well, before we do that, I do want to invite you guys to next week. We are actually doing an interview. We haven't done one of those in a while. I did make a little thing. Here it is. Next week. So next week on Shorts, we're interviewing Jennifer, who actually has I think it's like a print and play type of game. So if you guys are interested in that, join us next Thursday. But until then, please follow, like, subscribe, smash that button. It helps with the algorithm, get the shows out to people. And join us every Thursday night for shorts of some kind, whether it's a topic like tonight or maybe it's a hobby night. But you can find classic, you like that I changed that tonight, classic Indie Invasion podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcast, iHeart, Pandora, Stitcher, Spotify, and Pocket Cast. Anywhere they have a audio podcast, we're probably on there somewhere. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Discord.
We changed it.
And drop us a line at indieinvasion@gmail.com. And speaking of Indie Invasion Discord, there's a link right there. But you can find links to all these places down below in the show notes on YouTube and Facebook or wherever you guys are watching it. We have the quick links for you. And if you would like to support us, visit us at redbubble/people/Indie Invasion for some merch. Maybe you want a hat, a mug, sticker, mini skirt, pillow, shower curtain.
All of the above.
All the above. I have to go see if there's anything new. It's been a while.
Yeah, me too. I probably need to order a hat for this summer because with the top off the Jeep, my head burns.
But guys, that's all we got for this week. And until next time, when we see you, prepare yourself for the invasion.